and keep up with the cost of life these days. So it's like going by Fannie Freddie guidelines, you're kind of back to the attorney thing, thinking in a box. If you're not thinking out of a box and getting creative, the amount of, non-occupant co-borrowers, co-signers, or money juggling, paying off debt, reshuffling, just their life, you're not closing deals. It's there's nothing easy about these deals that come over lately, and I'm glad to hear it's y'all side too, not just mine.
Yeah, you have to get really creative. And I love my segues. Speaking of creative, I am super, super excited to introduce Adam Catledge. He is a friend and a client, and I really respect him and his business model and look up to him and everything he's doing in the investor space. And so we went on a limb and said, hey, I think this is a topic that real estate agents can learn from, not only for people that are looking to invest themselves, but I think it's a really great topic to understand what is your perspective, Adam, of what you're doing in the market, what you're seeing, and how can we as agents take that information and say, how can we support our investors a little bit better? So I'd love for you to introduce yourself. I'm going to go on mute and we're just going to kind of be here. And guys, this is active. Stop, raise your hand, ask questions, get in. The more we talk, the more we learn, right? So we want to listen to, but here we are. So go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Allison and Eli, for inviting me over here to speak today. This is a little bit out of my comfort zone, talking to a group of agents. It's like the firing squad's got me, right? And so, but yeah, my name's Adam Catledge. Currently sitting in Port Royal, South Carolina, but I do live full time in San Diego, California. Um, and a little bit about me, retired from the Marine Corps in 2023 after 20 years, and then jumped into this game full time. So, Allison, I do have some slides that I'm not a death by PowerPoint kind of
Okay,
person.
yep. Anna's going to give you sharing capability right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
not a death by PowerPoint person,
you're good.
but I think it would be beneficial for you guys and gals to see a little bit about um, just to have some proof behind what I'm talking about. So let me see. Present.
Yep, we can see it. So you're
You
good
can
to
see
go.
it.
Yep, just get in
Okay.
present mode and you'll be rocking and rolling. If you can't, that's okay too. But there you go.
Yeah, let me see if, again, like I said, I'm not a death
You're
by
good.
PowerPoint person, so I don't really. There we go. Can you see my
Yep,
slides now?
yep. That is perfect. Rock and roll.
Okay. All right. So we'll or skip that. So here's a little bit about me. Um, Real estate investor, small business owner. I say small business owner. I've already bought and sold a business since I retired, and I bought that on creative finance as well. For those that are here in Beaufort, South Carolina, I'm pretty sure you're aware of Tucker Dry Cleaners. Bought that real estate space, seller finance, and the business as well, but I've already exited that business after 2 years of ownership and sold it to another local investor, Jake Higgins as well. So, got involved right after the real estate space, or after the military, and I started my real estate journey, which I like to say I started because I truly did get started. And I think that's beneficial for you guys, because a lot of, this shows you how fast you can grow when you leverage creative finance, for your personal growth, but also for your clients' growth as well. In such a short period of time when you're not using traditional financing. And so I started this journey into June of 2022. And since then, acquired 20 properties, a little over 20 properties, and down sold off quite a few of them to reorganize. And then and it's had a value of over $15 million in real estate, raised $4 million in private money since then. And then my current specialty right now is co-living, which is just simple rent by the room type of model. For those up in Raleigh, I'm pretty sure that you've heard of Pad Split, possibly. That is a marketplace for just like Airbnb is, but for the rent by the room model. And you can think of almost like student housing almost, but it is for transient individuals or low income earners And sometimes it's people that are making decent wage, they just the cost of rent costs so much nowadays that we cannot figure out how to fix the problems we've all created. Okay. So we're guilty of it just like everybody else is. So it's just nature
Adam,
of the
I,
beast.
I love to break this up and talk about this really quick. I remember you talking, I think you talked about this maybe 2 years ago at an REIN that we did, or somebody had brought this up, and I was like, Pat split. Like, this is not a thing here. That's for big cities.
Yep.
More and more of our VA buyers are now looking at the bedroom count on houses because they're like, I'm going to just put a lock on each door and we're going to have a communal kitchen and a communal living space. And we're going to just rent by room essentially. And so then, of
Yep.
course, people get involved in like the CCRs say this and this says this. And so there's a lot of like drunk monkey on the back end, right? Where like this can't work or not in my world or our market doesn't support it. We're seeing it at a much higher level in Beaufort now.
There are homes here in Beaufort that are rent by the room. You got Paris Island here. You got the air station. You got a lot of people. There's a barracks on base that is just for married individuals that don't bring their families here, but it stays full, so they stay out in town. So it's just a way to think out of the box. And then so new construction. I've got new construction. I love it here in Beaufort, South Carolina. And then I say specialized long-term rentals is because I do like the model of renting to nonprofits, because then they don't own the home, you own it, you get to help the local community out, but not run that type of setup. And then my current strategies right now, just the co-living homes and development. So this is where I really wanted to get in to hone into where they're the proof behind what I'm talking about. So these are a sample of what types of properties that I've bought here. You can see down the list. The first one I bought, that one subject to. I was able to help the lady. The home was in disrepair, but I was able to buy. She had an FHA loan, bought that one subject to, and she was able to move to Tanzania of all places. She wanted to move there, but she couldn't sell her home, so we were able to buy it, renovate it, and then refinance her out. So we were able to get her all of her money back that she had left into the property. The second one, another one, Hinesville, we were able to save a veteran from foreclosure. He couldn't sell the property. It was during the height of the interest rates, and we were able to save him because once again his home was in disrepair, but the value was and able to get a lower interest rate for us rather than paying 10-12% at the height of the market for us investors. And then it just goes down the line. You can see some of these addresses on here. The one in San Diego or La Mesa, California. Another one, the veteran was going to he was in foreclosure and he was going to lose his VA entitlement. And it was a $1.8 million VA loan that we took over. For those that are not familiar with how California is set or how the other states are set up, if you don't have any active VA loans out there, you can go over the limit. And so you're not stuck with the parameters of the limit with inside that county. And so this veteran, he initially qualified with because he was a high income earner, but he turned it into an Airbnb and it failed. And so we came in and we were able to get a 1.8 million dollar purchase for I think it was like 3% interest rate because we were able to save him and his VA loan entitlement. So, and then just refinanced out later. So that he recaptured his VA loan. And so we just
So
do that a lot. We go down the list. Sorry, Ross, did you say something? You're on mute.
Sorry, Ross, I muted you. Go ahead and unmute. Sorry.
tighten up. So Adam, y'all assume that VA loan?
No, we took it over subject to.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So can you explain just in layman terms what that means?
Yep. So subject to, okay, everybody's going to say you can't do it, but you can. Okay. Subject to is where the homeowner is still on the loan, is still on their credit, but we are assuming the responsibility for making payments. We go through a title company, a closing attorney. We do the contracts. If you look at the HUD, there's on the line, I think, 223 or 225 and 553 or 525. It says subject to existing mortgage. There's a line on there for it. And so we're taking over that mortgage. Now, an assumption is we have to come in qualify for it. We go through the whole thing, a 90-day process typically to assume some loans. And so a lot of times you get to the very end of it and then they say, okay, sorry, we're not going to do the loan. And then now your seller is stuck right back in the same position. Now,
So
that's not.
I'm going to challenge you, okay? Because this is how our real estate brains work. I will tell you this. 5 years ago, I remember being like, screw this. I'm so over it. I just want to sell houses. Stop. I don't care. I don't want to deal with the subject to. I just want to sell a house. So here's
Yep.
my question. Adam, why would I do a subject to loan with you? I'm selling the house. Maybe it's distressed. Maybe I'm in a situation where I'm moving or I can't, or my rent won't cover the mortgage. And you approach me. Why would I do this deal?
Well, I always say there has to be some pain there for the buyer or for the seller. I would say if a seller can go out there and sell the home on the open market, traditionally, I don't want your home. And that's the type of investor I am. But there are some sellers that just want to be done with their property and they're just not getting the price they want and they're stuck on the price they want.
Mhm.
But there's the other key to it is what if someone comes in, they bought their home at the height of the market, they were expecting some appreciation over time, they put in a low down payment because they bought a FHA a loan home with a low FHA loan or VA loan, and now they're having to pay someone to buy their home. So we can come in, we cover all of the seller, we all pay all of the closing costs when we do that. Agents get paid. I've got a slide on here where you can see where the agent got paid on the house that I'm sitting in. And so that's one of the biggest questions that come up. How do I get paid as an agent? And they think, oh, well, we're going to just do this transaction for free, but that's not the case.
Mhm.
And so agents, we pay the agents commissions. There's just a wide variety of ways that reasons why so you would rather go subject to or seller finance or a combination of both, right? Because you can do, maybe someone is stuck on their price and say that they bought their property 10 years ago, they've got equity in it, and there's a few $100,000 in equity, but they don't need that money to go use it somewhere else. Maybe they were going to go use their VA loan or FHA somewhere else, or they're not buying in their next location. You can potentially do where you do subject to and seller finance at the same time and combine the two, because now the person's just stuck on their price. I'm not doing no more price reductions. I've already done $15,000, $20,000 price reductions. In their head psychology, they think they're giving the house away for free. And so as an investor, I see the value in the underlying debt, because then it saves me from having to go qualify for loans. It saves me from having to go out and look at a property through the lens of a cash price, because I'm of course going to come in at a cash price a lot less than what I would at asking price, because I have to have some value there, value add.
Mhm.
Um, and then so on your agent side, why learning about this is so important, because then you can go to your lot more sellers out there and pitch this type of transaction, because it allows them to say, hey, you're not going to get your home for $400,000. You're probably more around like 320, because I know you all sit there in these interviews and they throw out a random number and you're like, there is no way in hell you're going to get this price. But they're adamant about it. And there are some agents that, not saying you guys, but there are that will say, I'll take the listing. And
Mhm.
then we'll just, in your head, you're already done price reductions on a schedule because you know you're going to have to do it anyway.
Mhm.
But what if you went into an appointment and said, hey, I can get you $400,000, but you're going to have to do it this way. And now you're going in with as an educated agent saying there are multiple options and different levers we can play with depending on what the seller needs. You know, do you need, let's pull the lever back and see, does it require you to have money to go to your next home? Because if it does, how much does that look like? Because we can structure that for an investor at a certain way to where you get that money now, but maybe you have to carry back a little bit. You know, you may not get it all at once. Or, hey, let's put some interest on that amount so you can get up more money for your home. That's really popular for people that are seller financing properties. You've got people, come in and say you've got these homes that are selling for $700,000-800,000 around here. Maybe they take a down payment and then they get 6% on their money over 5 to 10 years. They're getting way more than what they were going to get when they sold it. So there's just, and we have a lot of second homes here. So we have capital gains tax, right? So if they have owned the home, it's a secondary home. They bought it for 100, they're selling it for $300,000-400,000 now. Now look at all the tax they could say delay over a period of time because maybe they don't have anywhere to park that money into another property to increase to 1031 it over.
Yeah.
So there's so many different types of benefits for you to go in and educate yourself on the creative
Yeah. So you're
side
planning on.
so that so
Sorry.
that you can go in informed and be that authority in the space of when you're informing your sellers. Because I do have a lot of conversations, and not so much now. I've got a team that does it, but I've got, when I was calling, I'll tell you, my first phone call. This was here in Beaufort. I was told, "Hey, I'm committing mortgage fraud. I'm gonna go to jail.
Oh my God. Okay, Adam, I got to jump in then. So that's my question. Listen, I talked to 5 attorneys last week. We literally, I don't know if you were on or not, but Allison, this is literally my life last week. And I do what you do. So where the hell is the due on sale bullshit come in? Ross, plug your ears. Like, how do you get around that?
Yeah. So how do you get around the due on sale clause?
Thank you.
I'll tell you, I would love to know who's getting it called on, because if you look at all the properties that I've owned here, never has it been called.
Same.
Okay. Now, is it a possibility? Yes, it is a possibility for it to happen. But the way that I have it structured in my contract is, let's just say that it got called. The bank is not in the business of taking homes back. We all know that.
Right.
So you have to you have to throw your negotiation hat back on, go to the bank, negotiate terms, however you do it. I haven't had it called on me, and I work with hundreds of investors that do this regularly.
Well, Adam, the bank just wants to get paid.
They just want to get paid.
They just want to know that their money's coming in every month.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
And the issue I ran into, well, I mean, quite frankly, it wasn't even the bank that was the issue. It was all the attorneys that were the issue.
Yeah, so this is the problem. Attorneys are going to always say they want the least amount of risk, okay? And so, like, I use Harry Marsh in North Carolina, in Charlotte. He does closings in Charlotte, or in North Carolina and South Carolina for me. I also use a gentleman named Michael, and I can get all these names over to you.
Send it over.
And I can get all these names over. He's an attorney in Charleston. He's done my subject to transactions here in Beaufort as well.
Will he do the buy on the sell side, I'm assuming?
They'll do everything.
What was the one in Charleston?
Michael, it's a name.
I can send it, Adam. I have his info.
Thank you, Eli.
Oh yeah, Eli knows him because they were doing a transaction together. So they all do creative transactions, and it takes this is how it is, right? And there are lawyers here in the city of Beaufort that will not touch creative because it's not their business model. Just like Allison said back 5 years ago, why would I sell a home creative finance when I've got enough business coming at me that does not require me to do that? Same thing with attorneys. They've got enough business coming that they don't need to go out there and worry about something different. Okay. And so you have to shop around. And I've shopped around till I found the right ones that I've trust. I have title insurance on all my properties, so that is one of the other questions. So I had the agent here telling me, hey, I'm committing mortgage fraud. I'm going to go to jail and stuff. And I'm like, had the same conversation a year ago with all these properties, and they still didn't believe me. And I'm like, you just need to educate yourself. And there's a lot of ways to get out there and be educated in this space so that you can go out there and make way more money. And we all know it's very competitive now. Homes aren't selling. Homes are sitting on the market. Price reductions. Your fee is getting reduced because the price of the property is going down. So there are ways, if you educate on the seller finance side, educate on the subject to side, the combination of the both, you can increase the purchase price to where it makes sense for you and worth your time, but also for your sellers, because at the end of the day, we're there to help the seller out. That has to be the ultimate goal, but it's your career as well, that you're getting paid for your efforts, and you can get more money when you structure this way.
And a good way to put this into practice, guys, for anybody that's thinking about investing themselves, is I'll throw Anna into this mix, is that there was a house that was for sale like 2 streets back from the beach. And we looked at it. She called me. They wanted some higher number. And she's like, I don't know. I think it's worth XYZ. So, she goes to the bank. She starts all the discussions. And she and I were talking about it. And I was like, well, what's the monthly payment if you could get it for 0% interest? Like what? Like, you know, if they're so stuck on this number, then
Give them the number.
give them the number. Give them the
Yep.
number, because the number wasn't that far off from what it was probably quote unquote worth. But if you have to go to the bank and you've got to go and put all this money down, and you're at an 8% interest rate for a secondary property, or doing an SBA loan, or whatever you're having to do, by the time you open up all your books, you do all the things, you pay all the loan fees and all the things, it made more sense to just give them the number and say, look, hold this loan for 5 years at 0%. And then tell them, hell, I'll pay you 15% after 5 years, because you're just going to refi out at that point, because you're going to improve the property, and you're never going to have to give them the 15%. You
Yep.
just go and get a bank loan or pay it off, because the house is going to make you $10,000 a month. Like it all of a sudden starts to make more sense when you look at it a different way, to say, if they're stuck on the number, give them the number, just fix the other terms.
Allison,
Now,
help
here's
us
the
out
here's
with an
the
exit strategy on that. Yeah, expand that exit strategy, because I don't understand it. Just putting a loan on it. What if it's 8% interest in a couple of years?
I'm trying to see who's talking. I'm so
It's
sorry.
Chris, put you on our team. Chris,
Okay.
Chris.
The strategy is that, I mean, there's risk with every strategy. It's like Adam said, right? Like there's always a risk somewhere in these equations. But for me, I'm going to expect that I'm going to improve the property, right? The property needs to be improved. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to increase the value that way. Historically, real estate increases 4 to 6% year over year. We're taking COVID out of it. We're not going to talk about these crazy 17 to 25% jumps, right? We know that the property is going to make money, because I'm planning on using it as a rental income producing property. It's not going to be a primary residence, which then a lot of lenders and banks would look at that and say, yeah, that's great. I will lend on that, because you've got proof in the pudding. And so my exit strategy is that, again, I would risk it to throw a huge loan on it in 5 years, or a change, or a balloon, or whatever it is, because I believe in 5 years I can either sell it and make my money back, or I can refi it out and roll it into a different kind of loan structure that then again, I can do a home equity line of credit. I can do all kinds of different creative things. Or again, I have a lot of equity in the property and I can sell it at that point. So Adam, I don't know if you have some thoughts on that, or how you would strategize that, but give
well,
yourself time to then get out if you need to.
yeah, you're not going to go out there and say, hey, if the numbers don't work, and you're gonna do a 0% seller finance at and then just do it like 2 years, right? We know that's not going to work. You're not going to build up enough equity in it. You need, or maybe you do it 2 years to give you some buffer room, and you can go back and say, hey, how about I give, in 2 years, I give you half of the money I owe you, and then you seller finance the rest. Maybe I go out and get a DSCR loan for just half of it and have the sellers carry back the rest after that. Now, there's some finagling and levers you have to pull, and that's why I say you always work. I'm not an attorney, so always work with an attorney on those types of transactions. But there's levers you can pull to mitigate the increase if you have to exit it.
Right.
Or there are ways that you potentially just sell it. If you can't get out of it, you sell it. You've been able to make money over the last few months. After the few years,
Mhm.
you've made some. You maybe not make as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you don't lose a property. But
I
it's
like
all
that
about
5 year mark, like 2 years.
5 years is a good is a good
People
is a good
like
rule of
5 years,
thumb.
I feel like. My deal I did for 5 years, and that they're older, and so that was where they were comfortable. But what I will say on this topic too is that, like, I just don't think that we ask enough questions when we're in these deals. Like, we're not curious enough to know what's important to people. You have to understand some of the tax benefits to some of this stuff. So, like, yeah,
And
it's
I'm glad you hit on the tax, because I spoke about that a little bit ago. And as we all know, like here in the Beaufort area, like I said, we have individuals that have second homes. These are not their primary homes. These are investment homes. And when they are hit on a 1031, when they're not 1031 it over, they're going to hit on some capital gains tax. And this is a way to delay that type of tax implication. If you can go in there and articulate why seller finance would be great, and working in collaboration with their CPA.
For instance, I have 4 properties and 2 lots that I would, from a strategy standpoint, to free up some money. I'm trying to do hard money lending. I'm trying to do syndicates, things like that, to leverage my time a little bit. And out of those properties, I'd like to sell all of them in the next 24 months. I do not intend to do a traditional sale on any of them. I will be the bank and hold the note on every single one of them. I do not. We can talk about it. Yeah. But I don't want to get all of that money and gain all of that money. I'm at the height of my earning in my career right now. I don't want to pay taxes on all of that money at this bracket. I haven't occupied any of them 2 of the last 5 years, so I can't do exemptions on them. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I want to owner finance, why I want to hold the note. But 5 years ago, I was very blind to this concept, and understanding it at a higher level is why we have Adam on here to say, this is real and it's a world that we should be open to.
Now, I want to move on to this slide right here real quick, because I want to show you how you can get involved and how you can do this on your side and become a real estate investor at the same time as an agent as well, and bridge the two together. But I want to show you, this is a creative transaction turned into a BRRRR. Okay. And so as agents, you all have full sight of what people are getting. So you have the unlimited ability to go out there and raise private money for yourself. I would say y'all have the ability more than others, because y'all are seeing what these doctors and lawyers and mom and pops are getting for when they cash out. Where are they putting their money at? These are types of conversations you can start having with people once you close transactions. Say, hey, I've got these opportunities here. I've got investors here, and you can start raising private money for your deals. You can start raising money for other people's deals. It's all about an introduction. But this is a BRRRR that I did here. This is my last project I did in Atlanta, but bought this property for $213,000, saved the person it was going to auction. And so he had inherited this property and from his aunt, and they stopped making payments on it. And so we took over the property subject to the existing mortgage, and we put in about $226,000 that we raised. But I also paid myself on the front end $10,000 as a fee for negotiating it. And then because you can move money around in a transaction, took us 8 weeks to do it. And then we got an appraisal for $656,000 all within 8 weeks. Now the bank thought, hey, there's no way. We had to pay for 2 separate appraisals, 2 different, because the increase was so high, and they both came within $3,000 of each other, which was crazy. So now what we're doing is we were able to cash out our entire private money. We were into the home, 0 money. We cashed out our equity. We got a 75% loan to value. And now you think, okay, Adam, how are you gonna make money off of a $656,000 in Atlanta, Georgia, with long-term rental? Because that's what most people think. Well, I threw my other creative hat on, and this home will be leveraged as a co-living property inside of Atlanta, and I will net cash flow $3,000 a month into my pocket. So I didn't just get paid $10,000 on the front end. I didn't just get paid on the back end from cashing out equity, but I'm also getting paid $3,000 a month by renting out the rooms individually, rather than renting the property to just one single family.
And you have an asset that you can sell in 24, 36, 48 months, that let's hope that 656,000 will increase 4 to 6% year over year.
If I want to, I could keep, I have no money in the deal now. Nobody, I don't have any, I've got long-term 30-year debt on it.
Right.
I could just sit there and get mailbox money because I've got a property manager taking care of it. I've got people moving in and out of the property by the pad split platform. We're helping local veterans with housing. Just a whole swath of ways of making money, but also helping people at the same time. But what it does do is it also allows me to say, hey, say somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to cross collateralize something. Now I've got all this equity. Say, hey, just throw a lien on this property. So I
Mhm.
can leverage this property for access to another property. So it just gives you ways of thinking out of the box of what is possible when you start leveraging creative finance and creative exit strategies. Okay. That's the biggest thing. And then here's a HUD that I just wanted you to be able to see. This is on the property, 28 Riding Hour Place here in Port Royal, South Carolina. You can see down there the commission. I paid the agent's commission for what the seller was paying him.
Mhm.
So you can see that. And then here's some pictures of the properties that I've bought. So you can see they're not dilapidated buildings. They're just they're properties you would want to live in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a big misconception on that too, you know? It's like this is it's not one certain kind of thing. It's about people have problems to solve, and if you can be creative enough, you can help solve them, right? And in the back end, you can help people and you can make money at the same time. It's not predatory in any way. It's helping most of the people you've talked about. You've gotten them out of sticky situations, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not for everybody. There's a need for people to go out there and sell their home on for full ask. They can get it and get multiple offers on their properties, but sometimes it's not. And this is a way to help both you get paid and because this is the audience, right? It's you have to find out how am I going to get paid because of your work and everything you put into your job.
Hey,
And so, but you can't get paid unless the property sells.
Yeah. I would
hey,
love to
Adam.
put this up for questions. Yeah, Eli, go ahead.
Yeah, just curious, how do you, because obviously you've bought property all over the country and stuff, like how do you pick your geo or like do you have any specific items that you're looking for or is just specifically the deal? What does that look like?
It's really the deal that makes sense. But I am really sticking into the major metropolitan areas south of Tennessee and south, and then east of Tennessee or east of Texas and east. Is that geographical, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yep. And so the reason why is because of landlord friendly. I don't want to buy in California anymore. That because of how hard it is to evict people, and we it can take almost a year to evict somebody out in California, if not longer. So I would rather stay in a red state, unfortunately, just because it does allow it's not that we're being predatory or anything. This is a business. You
Yeah.
got to be able to make money from the property. So staying in the geographical areas of the South, but in the major metropolitan areas because I am doing the co-living model right now.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, Adam, are you taking advantage of like self-directed IRA on any of this stuff as far as how you're moving some monies around? Can you talk about that a little bit? Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yeah. So I'm not a CPA and I'm not a financial advisor or planner, but I will tell you what I've done. And I'll tell you how leveraged it on the private money side. And so I'll give you a prime example. The gentleman that I just had lent us the money on our property down in Decatur, Georgia, the one I just showed you. He moved his money from his TSP over to a self-directed IRA. And now he's able to leverage his self-directed IRA to lend that money out to my real estate transactions. And I'm paying him 12% on his money, guaranteed, backed by the real estate. He got a lien against the property. So if I don't pay him, he can take the property. But leveraging the self-directed IRA is an amazing way to increase your retirement. When you go to pull it out, it's a great way to do it. There's a lot of people that just sit there and look at stocks, and we're just one tweet away from a crash. And so, I'm one of those firm believers that I'd rather touch an asset and have it, where I can walk up to it. And you can do that on the self-directed IRA side.
Yeah, and agents on this call, if that just went over your head, and you go talk to your regular accountant, they're probably gonna be like, "Oh no, it's not really worth it. I wouldn't do it." They don't understand your license. Literally, the government looks at you as an inside trader, that you have the opportunity to procure property and to do things, and you can max this thing out. I think married couples, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, I think ours was like $69,000 that we were able to max out as a married couple last year. So
But
you
that's
have to,
your contribution.
correct, my contribution. Yes, my
And you could
contribution.
go out, you can double that as much as you want. I
Correct.
mean, you can go out there. I mean, you look at the guy, he bought, I think it was PayPal. He bought his, if you look it up, he bought his company with his self-directed IRA.
Yeah.
I think it was a Roth, and then has a billions of dollars in there now because he sold it back into his IRA.
Yeah.
There was some
Y'all's
crazy-
licenses
Yeah.
give you, like, literally your real estate license is like the threshold for you to be able to do this and for it to pass through. But a lot of your CPAs are going to be like, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense, da 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 da. So just be mindful that you need to be sure you're talking to people in your same space. Because just because there's a CPA that's advising you does not mean they have the full picture of what your benefits could look like.
I would
throwing
always
that out
say
there.
that you want to work with a CPA that's investing in real estate themselves.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a phone call yesterday with a CPA up in Charlotte. She's trying to figure out how she's got some tax liability coming up this year, and she's a high income earner. And so, but she's dealing with corporate CPA. So she wanted me to connect her with my CPA so that she could understand the value in leveraging her money into my deals and take that burden away from her.
Yes.
She doesn't know the rules and regulations in regards to real estate acquisitions. And she's a CPA. So
Yeah.
if that tells you anything, they're just specialized in certain aspects of their business, just like you guys and gals are specialized in certain sides of your business. There's commercial, there's residential, there's all types of inside the space. But you want to work with a CPA or an CPA accountant that is investing themselves and can articulate, and you can talk, and you're talking the same language.
My biggest piece of advice, guys, is that this is just scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
This is an introduction to open our minds, expand our capacity a little bit to understanding what this world is and not being so closed off to it. Because not only is it that we want to support our investors, or when they call us, we don't get the call from Adam and say, you're going to go to jail. This is illegal. You can't do this, right? Like, you want to be open-minded to understand how we can support our investors. But we as real estate agents have such an opportunity that I believe so many of us are not taking advantage of. And so my answer would be just start doing podcasts, listening, plugging in, asking questions. I mentioned hard money lending. Guys, my first hard money loan that I gave out, I made $500 on because I was too scared to do it. And I gave $300,000 to a family member to buy a business. And I was like, I can't charge them any interest, but I'm just going to see how this goes, right? And from there, that was 3.5 years ago. I've done multiple hard money lending, and I've got over $1 million out in hard money lending right now. That if I wouldn't have just started and gotten myself really uncomfortable, then I wouldn't be where I am now. And it's about plugging in and listening to ideas and Googling it and chat GPTing it and figuring it out. And so you just dropped a link. What's that about?
Yeah. So that if you don't believe what I'm saying, okay, go and he just spoke to EXP actually.
Yeah,
Y'all had an event in I think it was Oregon with your owner. But look up Pace Morby. I just dropped the link. That's where I learned. That's where I went down the YouTube University rabbit hole back in June of 2022. And now I thought it was a scam myself, right? But now look at me. I think the last video is me on there talking to Pace about the deal we're buying in New Orleans, where we're buying a 24 unit apartment complex, seller finance, 0% interest, all because the seller wants to have a second retirement check. He don't have anywhere to put the money, and he's going to get hit with.
And the baby boomers are ready to retire.
Capital gains tax on like $2 million.
Yeah, but the baby boomers are ready to retire. Like, I mean, I would assume that Tucker Dry Cleaning was about not wanting to be there every day, not wanting to show up. But guess what they got to do? They still got to get a paycheck in the mail every month because the owner financed it, and you took over their thriving business that made a lot of sense. Baby boomers are the generation that are getting out and they don't know what to do with their companies. And we have a way to come in and essentially save them, right? Being able to say, look, you don't need to close. I can continue the legacy. You've already got something that's good. Let me make it better.
And I, I don't know how much more time we got. I'd love to take some questions, but I'd like to leave you with this. If you would love to sit down and, if you've got transactions you think things will be candidates for, I may not be the buyer. I may not want to buy in your area, but I will gladly sit down and look at a deal with you and say, this is how I would probably structure it to where you can get a better deal for it. I'm more than happy to do that with you. And, to sit down and say, hey, and even show you some strategy as well.
Yeah, I love that. Well, yeah, we're a little bit over time, but that means that the context was good and the content was good. Does anybody have any questions that they have got for Adam? We'll kind of keep it open 1 or 2 more minutes unless the conversation is just riveting.
And then I'll drop my phone number in the chat. Please, if I don't get back to you right away, I've got about 117 messages this morning that I've still got to get back to. And you can even ask Eli. I am kind of slow because I stay very, very busy.
Well, yeah, Alice and I will drop your information or whatever, so you can reach out to us as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. Well, we really appreciate it. I think it was great information. And if this stresses you out or you've got more questions than answers, good. That's the whole point, right? Dive in, start doing some research, go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. There's so many resources out there. And then we're always here as resources. I don't know anything. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm happy to connect you with people like Adam that do have it all figured out. So we appreciate you all being here this morning.
I have a
Thank
quick
you, Adam.
question.
That's
Sorry,
awesome.
I know I'm at the end. What are you in California, did you say?
San Diego.
San Diego. Okay, great. I'll text you. I do have a property in Chino Hills that I would like to talk to you about.
Okay.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Perfect. I love that connection.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Eli.
Adam.